Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the JPIS fundraising live stream. This is a quick reminder for you to click the link in our description box below and donate to our COVID-19 crowdfunding campaign in association with Give India, Uplift, and the Ujala Foundation. It is my honor to have with us Dr. Prahalathan here today. Dr. Prahalathan is the founder of Bhumi, which is one of India's largest independent youth volunteer non-profit organizations. Good morning, sir. It is great to have you here.
Good morning, Harshal.
So, sir, I will start right away with my first question to you. And that is, when did you form Bhumi?
So I started Bhumi with a few friends in 2006 when I was just out of college. They were still in college. That's when we started Bhumi. It's almost 15 years now.
So I also want to know what was your vision back then in 2006 when you started Bhumi?
So when we started Bhumi in 2006, frankly, we didn't start with a vision. We have a vision now, but when we started, it was about just how can we volunteer? How can we contribute something for this country? How can we give back? All these things, but primarily it's about we wanted to volunteer. We didn't know of any good platforms then. So we started volunteering. We didn't even want to do it for other people. It was primarily about us. But I think such platforms were not many then. And even now, there aren't many great platforms who are doing it at scale. Hence, people started coming and we started growing. After we started growing, then we, developed our vision and things like that. But it was a very simple reason to start doing.
Sir, that is a great vision, and I understand what it was. Sir, so my follow-up question is: since then, with this vision, do you think now it is 2021? Do you think your vision has been somewhat achieved? Do you think you're reaching towards it? Are you getting close to it?
So our vision is, how can we help contribute to a more equal, influential, socially conscious society? I don't think it's like an end point. It's like a work in progress. You can always get better. I feel for some people, we have managed to sort of give them a platform to start contributing to it. But I think we're a long way to go.
Thank you, sir.
That's amazing, sir. So, during your whole journey, were there any political factors which kind of added to an obstacle in your mission, in achieving your mission?
Not really. Not really. There are, like, when we went to the government, they sort of asked us to register. They sort of refused to work with a group of students who were not registered. I don't think we've had any political positives or negatives. I think politics affects society at large. Good politics is needed for the country. And sometimes the kind of politics that we have, most times the kind of politics we have in the country is not entirely seen as suitable, though I think a lot of people are there with good intentions. Not everyone's intentions is good. But for our work, I don't think we've had any hurdles that I can, I'm sure there would have been small things, but I'm not able to think of anything that's major enough to even remember.
So my next question to you is, can you share one or two stories of individuals whose lives have been changed because of your organization?
I'll share two stories. I will, in 2008, when we were running some centers, that time we were only in Chennai. And in 2008, we had a center about 25 kilometers from the heart of the city. It was in the suburbs. And at that time, this volunteer Vijay used to work for a multinational IT company. And during the weekends, he used to volunteer. And he used to go there, teach the children there, he after doing that for a year or a year and a half, he decided to quit the IT job and move full-time to the social sector. So he chose the route of a fellowship. He did a 2-year fellowship. He taught in a class. He was part of the Teach for India fellowship. And after that, he fully moved to the social sector, and he impacts several hundred or several thousand lives now through his work. And at the same center, there was a student. I can share his name because he's a volunteer now. The student Dinesh was a student at one of those centers, and he had he was in class 10. He just completed class 10, and with through great personal difficulty, he's now into IT himself, and he gives, of course, all credit is not due to the volunteers, but he credits the Bhumi Center and the volunteers, including Vijay, for sort of putting him on that journey to be where he is now. Dinesh, while he was doing his higher education itself, started volunteering, and he now leads one of those centers in the area where he teaches children. He teaches children from his surrounding villages and nearby places. So these are two stories that comes to the top of my mind.
Thank you so much, sir. I honestly liked how you connected both the stories and you displayed it in a very colloquial manner. So, sir, now that you're reaching your 15th anniversary, was there any incident in your life that made you start Bhumi? Was there any kind of thing you noticed in your surrounding which made you think that, okay, we need to start an organization which helps give a platform to people?
As a child, I used to visit a lot of activities that my dad used to do as part of Lions Club. And my mom also used to volunteer to teach people from the slum community around my house. And I was exposed to all these things as a child. But I went to college, and I studied at a government medical college where poor patients sometimes used to come from faraway places, and when they needed blood, they wouldn't have any relatives in the city where the college is situated. And so they would come to the medical college to ask for somebody to donate blood. So within the first week of joining college, I signed up to be the blood donation coordinator. I used to know everybody's blood group. I used to, when somebody used to come, I used to arrange blood for that poor patient. And this was how my personal journey of volunteering actually started. After finishing my undergrad and coming back to Chennai, I had a lot of free time because I was waiting for my higher studies and had free time. That's when I started volunteering, and when I met my co-founders, and we ended up starting.
That's a really inspiring story, sir. Thank you for sharing that with us. So my next question to you is, so there is a common misconception that runs around us teenagers who deem to start our own student-run organizations. And that is that if you volunteer, like if you have an organization, a platform like yours, our whole time is only dedicated to that. So people ask, some people just go randomly asking, okay, how do you earn if you only devote yourself to an NGO? Because it's a non-profit organization, right? Of course. So, sir, I would want you to clear that conception for us teenagers and youngsters out there, because there is a perspective out there that people don't start their own initiatives, even if they want to, just because of the fear that they will not be able to carry on with their usual lives.
I'll not entirely remove that fear, but I think there's a spectrum of how much you can do. So we started Bhumi in 2006, and until 2012, we didn't have a single person who was full-time in the organization. All of us were volunteers. And until 2016, I did not join full-time. I continued to do both my medical practice as well as volunteer with Bhumi. I think to sort of do good work, you neither need a lot of money, nor do you need to be full-time. You can everyone cannot get into full-time social work. Then who will be the IT engineers, who will be the doctors, who will be the accountants, who will be the politicians, who will be the pharmacists, and whatever other things, nurses, things like that, right? Everyone has a role in society, and I believe that you can do enough with your free time. You work 8 hours a day. It's okay if you volunteer for a few hours in the weekend or
Absolutely.
every day in the evening. So for that, you don't need a lot of money, and go on, start your own organizations, or even better, join something that's already established. But in 2016, I decided to, I used to tell this to everyone that you can volunteer and things like that. For me, what made me switch to full time was the Chennai floods of 2015. That's when I visited a lot of places, I felt that we should be doing much more. So at that point, for me, it was I had a very compelling reason to um, leave the medical profession, which I liked. I did not quit because I didn't like that. I liked that, but I liked this even more. I felt um, I could do much more through this. Hence, I had a very compelling reason to quit, and it was a very quick decision for me to quit. So I would say for the young students who want to start, uh, you can do much more with a full-time organization. So hence my first recommendation would be to find something that's existing, because you're able to give a certain amount of time. If you spend that time building something, creating systems, finding out how to fundraise, finding out how to do good, finding out who to do good, and all these things, that's probably not the best use of your time. So my first recommendation is to always join something existing and give the best possible time for it. But if that's not for you for whatever reason, or you really want to start something, or if you think that there is a chance that you might want to continue it later, then do start your own organization formally or informally. Work with an affiliated organization so that you have the legal structure to work, and you're not spending your time with the legal stuff, but doing work.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. So, sir, as you previously said that you started off young, even if it was just volunteering, you started off uh, basically providing back to the society extremely young. And here at JPIS, we also have multiple NGOs, but when they start, they obviously have a lot of energy and they do a lot of stuff. But as the months progress, the energy kind of fizzes out and they stop doing as much work. So, is there any sole advice you would give them for them to continue to push towards their initiative and to basically achieve their goals?
Again, I'll share two perspectives. I think directly to answer your question about what I would share. Whatever you take up as a goal, I hope it's large enough to sort of inspire your people around you, and there's a lot to do in this country. Hence, it's very difficult to think that you will start an organization and immediately achieve what you seek to achieve. It will take some time. It will take a lot of effort. So as long as you've chosen something like that, I hope the goal remains to sort of drive you. The sort of the other side of the coin is that the country has enough and more challenges, and for whatever reason that you start this organization, that's not going to go away unless you choose a very narrow focus of what you want to do. So the goal should inspire you primarily. If you're looking for other things to inspire, then that's not always going to be there. But I hope the goal you choose is challenging enough to always be there, keep motivating you, and keep you going. That said, for one person to do things, you don't need an organization, right? You don't need to register something. You can just keep doing good. So find the right sort of people, find like-minded people, aligned people, keep good people around you, do things as a team, so that when you're feeling down, there's somebody else to sort of keep the energy going, and when they are feeling down, you're there to support them, and together you can do something good and great.
That is some really productive advice, and I'll just reflect on what Sir just said. So this is for students like us out there. If you want to do something good, you don't need an organization. You just need the right mindset, something that inspires you. Choose good people, choose the right set of people, choose your friends wisely. And it's not necessarily that you have to have something official. If you want to do good, you can do it in any way. Do things that inspire you and inspires your mind and inspires the community instead. So, sir, thank you so much for this. And my follow-up question to you is, how does the organization identify communities or individuals to work with?
I would say, especially if you're starting off, do what is easy. Don't pick up something that's hard, so that, let's say, definitely people in rural parts of India need whatever you're offering more than someone in a city, right? But don't make it tough on yourself to start. You're more likely to fail than when you start doing with something easy. It's okay if you persist, if you have an impact and you grow, you can take on harder challenges, but don't start with challenges that are hard. So choose a community that you identify with. So let's say you want to provide education. What made you feel that? You saw some child, or you saw some poor school, or you saw some school that was not well run. You saw your mate's child, something that motivated you, nudged you, triggered some thoughts in you, right? Start with that. Um, even for our new volunteers who join Bhumi, we try to place them as close to their home as possible, so that they're not spending their time during the weekends traveling. But when they're able to go to a shelter home, teach a child for 2 hours, and maybe spend half an hour at traveling. That's it. So start with something that's easy. And if you want to do greater things, of course, those things are needed, but take it up later.
Definitely, sir. So, sir, what I was wondering was that you do identify individuals to work with, and what you do to ease their effort is you place their work zone near their homes, right? So, sir, I was wondering, how have they worked? How have the individuals in your organization worked to build trust and relationships in this field?
I think when first is with the organization itself, right? People come, they don't know the organization, they're just looking for a platform, they're looking for a way to contribute, and they come to the organization. I think first is to develop trust in the group, with the organization. Uh, that happens when the organization or the group provides a good space for the individual to sort of contribute to achieve their uh, small goals, or put them on a path towards causes they are passionate towards. Uh, when people enable other people to contribute, right, the trust in the team is developed. Bhumi volunteers make lots of friends among Bhumi volunteers. Like, a lot of my friends are Bhumi volunteers themselves. Sometimes even outside of Bhumi, we go on holidays, we meet families for lunch and things like that. You meet a lot of nice people here. So I think the responsibility of people is to enable others to be friends, to support each other, so that the trust is developed in the people. I think it's not community's role to develop trust. I think there it's, society, what sort of values people have. I think it's for the people who come to sort of trust the community and understand what they really need, understand their problems and come up with the right solutions, rather than go with a solution and try to fit it for the community. And the trust with the community should be earned by us, rather than them sort of enabling things for us. I think primary responsibility lies with us.
So, now that we're reaching your 15th anniversary, congratulations on that. Can you please name some of your successful campaigns or drives, and how do you deem if a campaign or drive is successful?
We don't take too many drives. Drives are very ad hoc. I think for I would choose programs rather than drives. Like in 2012, we started the civic volunteering program, which is to get more people to volunteer. And it was a cost agnostic cause by itself to get more people to volunteer. How do we make volunteering a national habit? Then recently we expanded it, how to get every Indian volunteering. So there I feel we have enabled several groups of people across multiple cities of India to volunteer. So in 1920, we engaged about 33,500 people to volunteer for different causes. So I feel we are not, our goal is big, so we have not reached it, but I think we're making progress. I won't say it's enough, but we're making progress. In terms of campaigns, I would say when the first wave of COVID struck, our volunteers, we decided that we brainstormed on different things we could do. And so volunteers decided a few things. One was to do direct cash transfers to daily wages affected by the lockdown. And we supported about 14,000 families with a little over 2 crores in cash transfers. And for the shelter home children we work with, whom we do run the education program, we supported with groceries, some immediately, many of them immediately, and some for a few months until they could raise their own funds to meet the grocery needs. About 14,000 children we supported with grocery support during that pandemic. And we also shifted our physical classes to online, and many of these places did not have computers. Children did not have tablets. So we relied on some of our corporate donors to like DHC, BNP Paribas, to get devices to the shelter homes, to the schools we work with, to the children we work with, to sort of ensure that the children are able to access our programs. Simultaneously, we work with the volunteers in training them, adapting to digital tools to teach. All of them were very tech savvy, but then you're not just using it for fun or work or education, but you're also using it to teach somebody, you're also using it to volunteer. So that's something we had to adopt so that we are able to reach our children and continue our education programs even during the pandemic. And we thought it will end, but it's continuing. So it looks like this year also we're going to have to continue with the online sort of mode of education.
So, sir, as you just said, that a lot of financial aspects are added into your campaigns and a lot of other equipments you need to support your campaigns. So how do you convince your donors to finance your campaign?
I'll start from the beginning. So someone told me this, someone I looked up to like a mentor told me this at the very beginning when I was just starting Bhumi, which was that do the work and the money will follow. Initially, when we started Bhumi, we didn't register. It was an informal group. We didn't take 12A ATG. We took some years because we said this is our work. This is how much it costs, and we asked our volunteers to itself, put in money. Students gave 1 rupee a day, which is like 30 to 50 bucks a month, and working professionals gave 5 rupees a day, which is like 150 rupees a month. This was enough to sustain all our work. When we needed computers, we got computers which others discarded. Companies gave us their own computers. So that very little money that our own volunteers gave us was enough to sustain our work. So once the work is seen as being considerable, people started reaching out to us, how can we support? Instead of us going and asking people, give us money for this or that. So I would say, especially for people starting off, start with something. It may seem hard. You just have to think out of the box and see how you can do work, prove yourself to your potential donors without actually asking for money. And once your work gets started, it's like in startup language, we sort of bootstrapped our way initially, right, without getting funding. So Once your work starts showing up, then people will automatically come. The work should convince people. And of course, if the person asking for money is trustable, then even people who don't know your work will trust you and give money. So when you're doing work, don't feel bad about asking, because the people will either trust you or your work. If either of these are not going so well, then you will have challenge in getting things done.
That's a really well thought answer. So I'd say that I have been inspired, just like you got inspired by your mentor. Do the work, money will follow. And that's exactly what I'll run by. So, sir, my next question to you is, we are now in the second wave of COVID. So what are your organization's goals this year?
So our volunteers are helping at an individual level. They're helping people, connect to beds, oxygen, and things like that. We've started fundraising for oxygen supplies, to set up oxygen plants. We're exploring whether to procure, oxygen concentrators, and we've started reaching out to shelter homes to see if they need any groceries. Started fundraising for that again to support our partner shelter homes, whoever needs that sort of support. And today we have we have discussions with our volunteers where they would be coming up with other ideas, and then we would take it up and further tweak our plans, add more initiatives, or focus more on certain initiatives. I think that's what we're looking at right now.
So that's a great vision, and that I just hope that all of you achieve it and help our fellow countrymen. So this is my follow-up question, sir. Right, we cannot ask this, like this question would not be answered in this context, but like generally in the past, what would happen if your organization would not be able to accomplish its goal?
I think failures are common, right? I mean, you're not everything that you do will not always succeed. So when your goal is not accomplished for whatever reason, your goal was poorly planned, or you didn't put the right amount of effort, or you didn't have the resources, then you should always learn from it and move forward, take up more challenges, right? Failure is final only when you sort of accept it, right? If you think that is final, then that's your end, and then you need to find something else to do. But I think we've made a lot of mistakes, but we've learned from it and moved on. So if the goal is not achieved, don't give up, keep going.
Sir, I am actually honored sitting here listening to you, because this is the only, being teenagers, one of the most important lessons we can learn in life is no matter how much you fail, it's the stepping stone to success. So thank you for those lines. And my last question before we wrap up this session is, sir, how is the organization's impact measured? As in, who is responsible for determining and the impact and evaluating the results of any campaign, any project, anything that you undertake?
I'll give two answers. One very superficial to your question, and then I'll give a more technical answer. So I think measure the impact of your work through what you do. Stay connected with your beneficiaries. Do something, always do something that's measurable, so that you're able to figure it out, understand it to the level that you're able to measure it, right? If you think something is not measurable, then most probably, not always, but most probably you've not understood it well. So try to understand it so well that you're able to measure it, you're able to understand what is happening. Talk to your beneficiaries, understand what they're saying, and even if you're not able to measure it very tangibly, at least hear it from them or see it in them to see what is happening. That said, technically, impact takes years to achieve, right? what our work does is in terms of outputs and outcomes. Let's say you fundraise cash to do direct cash transfer to a daily wager who's affected, right? So much funds you've raised and given to the daily wager, that is the output. And if you, because you gave the money to that person had money to buy food or pay his child's education, that is the outcome, right? So because of that, his family is happy, his family survives the pandemic, and because of the education, that child becomes a productive citizen. That is impact. So impact takes years. So see in terms of outputs and outcomes. Outputs should be measurable so that you know you're headed in the right direction. Let's say you're raising a lot, you think you're raising a lot of money, and the number of people you help is very less, then you need to do something differently, right? So same way, have that feedback loop. Keep measuring what you're doing, keep listening to the people you're trying to serve, and always keep changing, improving what you do so that you get better, right? But it's definitely your responsibility to measure your outputs, outcomes, and impact. Nobody else will do it for you. Yeah, others can validate it, but you have to do it yourself.
Thank you so much, sir. I would say that it has been a great morning. I feel privileged to have listened to such a humble person like you, such a dedicated person who has had a clear vision from the last 15 years. And this is only going to motivate me to, we are all engaging in a fundraiser currently. We have done this in the past. So now we're reflecting on some errors we could have avoided, and that we will endeavor in our future upcoming projects. But thank you so much, sir, for spending your time here with us. It definitely taught us a lot, and we ensure you that in our maximum capability, we will transfer and we will spread this knowledge and these points across the youth, across the teenagers that we know who are starting projects on their own every single day, so that they do not lose motivation, they do not get demoralized, and help our nation to get better, one organization, one student at a time. Thank you so much, sir.
So, sir, I just want to add, I'm so inspired sitting over here talking to you, and I'm pretty sure all of our viewers are too. And just hearing about as successful person as you talking about his failures definitely has motivated me, and definitely would have motivated our viewers, because being an Ivy student, we do come across a lot of failures and we do have to correct all of them. A lot of our initiatives kind of fall short of because of a lot of limitations we come across, and just hearing you leaping over those limitations and achieving your goals is very inspiring, and we'll definitely integrate all of those learnings in our coming projects. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for being with us today.
Really enjoyed talking to you. You're very enthusiastic, curious questions. I hope you achieve more than what you started out to do in this fundraiser, and you help a lot of people. And I think more importantly, also be examples for others. So when Ronit messaged me that you're doing this, I forwarded it to one of our coordinators, and he was like, these students are so inspiring, right? And he is at least 10 years older than you, and we seek inspiration from you also. So your inspiration, not just for other students like you, but also for us. Like I shared my story, I started out much later, right? But you have the privilege and the opportunity to have started so early. So I hope you go on to exceed the goals you started out with, and definitely inspire more and more students like you and adults like us to continue our work and do more.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Just a friendly reminder to all of our viewers, please click the link in our description below and donate to our COVID-19 fundraiser, because that's what all of this is about. We need to do our initiative, we need to do our work to help the society and to give back to the society and just come out of this battle, and we can all do it together. Thank you so much.
Jai Hind.
Thank you. Jai Hind.